You know what I love about estate sales? The secrets. Every house has them, honey. Hidden in drawers tucked behind paintings folded into the pockets of old coats that smell like mothballs and regret. Some people go to estate sales looking for bargains. Me, I go looking for stories. My name is Miranda Rowe. I'm 38 years old, and I own an antique shop on King Street in Charleston called Rowe & Company. I've been doing this for 15 years now, ever since my first marriage fell apart, and I needed something that was mine. Just mine. The shop specializes in estate acquisitions, which is a fancy way of saying I buy things from dead people's houses and sell them to living people who don't know any better. That sounds cynical, I know. But after 2 failed marriages and a lifetime of watching Charleston's finest families pretend their skeletons don't rattle, I've earned a little cynicism. It was a Saturday morning in late October when everything changed. The kind of morning Charleston does best. Cool enough for a sweater, but warm enough for sweet tea on the porch. Rain had moved through overnight, leaving everything clean and damp. The air smelled like wet magnolia leaves and possibility. I pulled up to the Whitmore estate at 9 o'clock sharp. The house was one of those grand old things on Trad Street. 3 stories of white columns and black shutters surrounded by live oaks draped in Spanish moss. The kind of house that whispered old money and older secrets. Estate sales are competitive in Charleston. You have to get there early if you want the good stuff. I grabbed my canvas bag and joined the small crowd already gathering on the piazza. Dealers mostly. I recognized a few faces. Nodded. Didn't smile. These people were competition, not friends. The door opened at 9:15. A tired-looking woman in her 60s stood there with a clipboard, her eyes red like she'd been crying recently. Probably a family member, I thought. The ones who have to sell everything because daddy died with more debts than dollars. It happens more than you'd think, even in these big houses. I moved through the rooms quickly, efficiently. Years of practice had taught me what to look for. I found a few promising pieces. A Victorian side table that would clean up nice. Some crystal decanters. A set of botanical prints that were probably worth more than the family realized. And then I saw it. The ring. It was sitting in a small velvet box on a dresser in what must have been the master bedroom. Art Deco. Platinum setting with a square-cut diamond, maybe 1 carat. Beautiful geometric design from the 1920s or 30s. The kind of ring that told you someone had taste and money in that order. I picked up the box. Turned it over. The price tag said $200. $200. My heart started beating faster. Either someone had made a serious mistake, or there was something wrong with this ring that I wasn't seeing. I pulled out my jeweler's loupe and examined it carefully. The diamond was real. Good clarity. The platinum was genuine. Nothing wrong with the setting. This ring was worth at least $2,000. Maybe more with the right buyer. I was about to slip it into my bag when I heard a voice behind me. Sharp. Urgent. Almost panicked. Put that down. I turned around. A woman stood in the doorway. 60-something, elegant, even in obvious distress. Pearl earrings. Cashmere sweater set. The kind of woman who'd never raised her voice in her life until this very moment. "Excuse me," I said. "The ring. Put it down, please." Now I've been doing this long enough to recognize desperation when I see it. And this woman was desperate. Her hands were trembling. Her face had gone pale under her makeup, which meant, of course, that I needed this ring. "I'm sorry," I said, "not sorry at all. But this is for sale. And I'm buying it." I walked past her to the checkout table, pulled out my credit card, and paid before she could say another word. $200 for what was probably a $3,000 ring. Best find I'd had in months. The woman followed me, stood there watching as the transaction went through. Her eyes never left that velvet box. "Please," she said quietly. "That ring belonged to my mother. It wasn't supposed to be in the sale. There's been a mistake." I felt a tiny pang of guilt. Tiny. But estate sales are estate sales. Everything has a price tag for a reason. "I'm sorry for your loss," I said. "I really am. But if it wasn't supposed to be sold, someone should have removed it before the sale started." I walked out with the ring in my bag and didn't look back. The rain had started again, soft and warm. I sat in my car for a moment looking at the velvet box. That woman's face haunted me. The panic in her eyes. The way her hands shook. I opened the box one more time. The ring caught the gray light from the window. Beautiful. Mysterious. Wrong. Something about this didn't sit right. But I pushed that feeling down, started my car, and drove back to my shop. I had work to do, inventory to process, a business to run, and a ring to research. My shop sits between a coffee house and a bookstore on King Street. I bought the building 6 years ago when my second marriage ended and my ex-husband Thomas tried to claim half my business. Tried being the operative word. I had a very good lawyer and an even better prenup. I unlocked the back door and carried my finds inside. The shop was quiet, peaceful. I designed it that way. Soft lighting, dark wood floors, antique furniture arranged like rooms in a house so customers could imagine how pieces might look in their own homes. I took the ring upstairs to my office and cleared a space on my desk. Then I pulled out my loupe again and examined it more carefully. That's when I noticed the inscription inside the band. Tiny letters almost invisible without magnification. EA and JM, forever unbroken. 1952. EA and JM. Elizabeth and someone whose name started with J, I guessed. Married in 1952. Or engaged, at least. A love story captured in platinum and promises. I felt that tug again. The one I'd felt at the estate sale. Something wasn't right about this. I set down the loupe and picked up the ring, turning it in the light. The setting was unusual, more elaborate than it needed to be. I looked closer at the underside of the diamond mount, and that's when I saw it. A tiny hinge, almost invisible, hidden in the decorative metalwork. My pulse quickened. I grabbed a small screwdriver from my toolkit and carefully pressed the mechanism. The top of the setting lifted. Underneath the diamond was a hollow compartment. And inside that compartment was a piece of paper, rolled tight, yellowed with age. I pulled it out with tweezers and unrolled it on my desk. It was a letter, written in faded blue ink on thin paper. The handwriting was elegant, old-fashioned. A man's handwriting, I thought. My dearest E. I write this knowing I may never be free to tell you these words aloud, but I cannot keep them inside any longer. What we have is impossible. I know this. You know this. But it is also the only real thing in my life. Last night when we met at our place, when you laid your head on my shoulder and said you wished you could stay forever, I felt something break inside me. Because I wish that too. God help me, I wish that too. But we both know the truth. I have my wife. You have your husband. We have our children, our reputations, our lives built on foundations we cannot destroy. Not without hurting everyone we love. So, we will have stolen moments. Secret meetings. These letters hidden where no one will find them. It is not enough. It will never be enough. But it is what we have. I would destroy everything for you if I could. But I can't. And you wouldn't ask me to. That is why I love you. Forever yours even when I cannot be J. December 1952. I sat back in my chair, my heart pounding. This wasn't a wedding ring or an engagement ring. This was evidence. Proof of an affair that had lasted based on the date over 70 years. Or at least it started that long ago. E.A. Elizabeth A. something. Married but not to J. And J. A man who loved her but couldn't leave his wife. The woman at the estate sale. The one who'd panicked when she saw me with the ring. That must have been Elizabeth's daughter. She'd said the ring belonged to her mother, which meant she probably didn't know about the letter. Didn't know what her mother had hidden all these years. I should have felt triumphant. This kind of provenance could triple the ring's value. A secret affair, hidden letters, a tragic love story. Collectors ate that stuff up, but instead I felt something else. Something uncomfortable. I looked at the letter again. Read it more slowly this time. I would destroy everything for you if I could. But I can't. Those words settled in my chest like stones. Because I knew what they meant. I knew them better than I wanted to admit. My phone buzzed on the desk. A text message. David. Can I see you tonight, miss you? David Ashford. 42. Successful architect. Charming. Attentive. Passionate. Married. We'd been seeing each other for 6 months. Always at my place. Always after dark. Always in secret. He'd told me his marriage was over. That he was staying for the kids. That he'd leave soon. Very soon. I'd believed him. Or at least I'd told myself I believed him. I looked at the letter on my desk. Then back at my phone. I would destroy everything for you if I could. But I can't. My hands started shaking. I put the letter down. Put the phone down. Walked to the window and looked out at King Street. Tourists walked by with shopping bags. A horse-drawn carriage clip-clopped past. Normal Saturday afternoon in Charleston. But nothing felt normal anymore. That letter had reached across 70 years and grabbed me by the throat. I texted David back. Not tonight. I have work to do. He responded immediately. Tomorrow, then I need to see you. I didn't answer. I turned off my phone and went back to my desk. I needed to know more about this ring. About Elizabeth and Jay. About what happened to them. I spent the next 2 hours researching. The Whitmore estate sale had been for Elizabeth Whitmore, who died 3 months ago at age 93. I found her obituary in the Post and Courier. Elizabeth Ann Morrison Whitmore, born 1930. Died July 2025. Beloved wife of the late Charles Whitmore, who predeceased her in 2018. Loving mother to Catherine Whitmore of Charleston. A pillar of the community, active in the historic Charleston Foundation and the Preservation Society. Predeceased by her dear friend James Mitchell. James Mitchell. J.M. I searched for him next. Found his obituary from 1998. James Robert Mitchell. Attorney. Partner at Whitmore and Mitchell Law Firm. Survived by his wife Helen and 3 children. Whitmore and Mitchell. Charles Whitmore's law partner. My God. Elizabeth had been married to Charles Whitmore, but she'd been in love with Charles's law partner, James Mitchell. For years. Decades. Maybe her entire marriage. I sat back and tried to imagine it. 2 couples. Married. Probably friends. Spending holidays together. Going to the same parties. All while Elizabeth and James carried on a secret affair right under everyone's noses. And nobody knew. Or maybe they did know, and they all just pretended they didn't. That's how things work in Charleston. You don't air dirty laundry. You don't make scenes. You smile and pour more bourbon and keep all your secrets locked up tight. I looked at the ring again. At that tiny, hidden compartment where Elizabeth had kept her most precious secret. How many times had she opened it, read that letter, remembered nights with a man who wasn't her husband? I thought about David again. About texts deleted. About lies told. About a relationship built entirely in the shadows. Was this my future 70 years of stolen moments? And hidden letters? The thought made me feel sick. I carefully rolled the letter back up and placed it in the ring's compartment. Closed the setting. Put the ring back in its velvet box. And then I did something I probably shouldn't have done. I went looking for more letters. The velvet box had a lining. Satin. I'd noticed earlier that it seemed thicker on one side. I pulled out my X-Acto knife and carefully made a small cut. Sure enough, there was a false bottom. Inside were 6 more letters, all from J, all to E, spanning years. 1954, 1961, 19723, 19822, 19828, 1995. Over 40 years of secret correspondence. I sat at my desk until the light faded outside my windows, reading letters from a dead man to a dead woman about a love that couldn't exist in daylight. They tried to end it. Multiple times. The letter from 1961 was heartbreaking. This has to be the last time, E. We're destroying ourselves. I can't sleep. I can't look at Helen without feeling like a monster. We have to stop. But there were 5 more letters after that one. They couldn't stop. They tried and they failed. And they kept trying and failing for 30 more years. The last letter was dated March 1995. James would have been 65. Elizabeth, 64. My darling E, we are old now. Our hair is gray. Our children are grown. Our spouses still don't know, or they know and have chosen not to know. Either way, we've gotten away with it. 43 years, my love. 43 years of stolen afternoons and whispered phone calls and letters hidden in secret places. Sometimes I wonder if it was worth it. If what we had was worth the guilt, the lies, the life we might have had together if we'd been braver. Then I remember the feel of your hand in mine, the sound of your laugh, the way you look at me like I'm the only man in the world. And I know the answer is yes. Even if it was wrong. Even if we hurt people. Even if we die with this secret still locked inside us. It was worth it. I love you. I have always loved you. I will love you until the day I die. Forever yours, Jay. James died 3 years after that letter. Helen, his wife, outlived him by 10 years. Charles, Elizabeth's husband, died in 2018. Elizabeth lived another 7 years alone. I wonder if she read these letters during those 7 years. If she opened the ring and remembered. If she regretted anything. If she wished she'd made different choices. Or if, like James, she believed it was worth it. I put the letters back in their hiding place. Sat in the dark of my office as the streetlights came on outside. My phone buzzed. David again. You okay? You're worrying me. I picked up the phone. Started to type a response. Stopped. What was I doing? I was 38 years old. Successful. Independent. Smart enough to know better. And yet, here I was carrying on with a married man. Telling myself it was different. That he really would leave. That we really were in love. But Elizabeth and James were in love too. Real, genuine 43-year love. And look what it cost them. A lifetime of hiding. Of guilt. Of moments stolen from the lives they were supposed to be living. I thought about David's wife. Her name was Amanda. I'd looked her up once on Facebook, though I'd told myself I wouldn't. She was pretty. A teacher. Posted pictures of their 2 kids. Looked happy. Did she know about me? Was she like Helen and Charles, knowing but pretending not to know? Or was she genuinely clueless, trusting her husband while he texted another woman in the dark? I put my phone down without responding. The next morning was Sunday. I didn't open the shop on Sundays. I usually spent the day catching up on paperwork, researching pieces, sometimes driving to estate sales in the Low Country. But that morning I couldn't focus on anything except the ring. I made coffee. Sat on my balcony overlooking the street. Watched the church crowd walk by in their Sunday best. Families, couples. People who'd built their lives in daylight. My daughter Charlotte called around 10. She's 20, a junior at the College of Charleston. Smart as a whip and twice as sharp. Hey, Mama, she said. Her voice still had that sweet Georgia drawl. I'd tried so hard not to lose. Just calling to check in. How are you? I'm fine, baby. How's school? Good. Really good, actually. I wanted to tell you something. Her voice got softer. Almost nervous. I met someone. His name is Ryan. He's a senior, pre-law. And Mama, I really like him. My heart clenched. That's wonderful, sweetheart. He's honest, you know. Like really honest. I've never met a guy who's just so straightforward about everything. It's refreshing. That's good, Charlotte. Honest is good. I know you always told me to never settle for someone who makes me smaller. Ryan makes me feel bigger. Like I can do anything. Tears stung my eyes. That's exactly what you deserve, baby. We talked for a few more minutes. She told me she'd bring Ryan home for Thanksgiving. I told her I couldn't wait to meet him. I meant it. After we hung up, I sat there holding my phone, thinking about what she'd said. Never settle for someone who makes you smaller. I'd told her that after my second divorce. After years of feeling like I was shrinking to fit into someone else's life. And now here I was making myself smaller again. Fitting into the hours David could spare. The moments he could steal from his real life. The doorbell rang downstairs. I almost didn't answer it. But something made me get up and walk down to the shop entrance. Through the glass I saw her. The woman from the estate sale. Elizabeth's daughter. I opened the door. She looked tired. Older than she'd seemed yesterday. Like she'd been up all night. I'm sorry to bother you, she said. On a Sunday. I know you're closed. But I had to try. Come in, I said. She followed me inside. Stood there twisting her hands together. My name is Catherine Whitmore. That ring you bought yesterday. It belonged to my mother. I know, I said. I saw her obituary. I'm very sorry for your loss. Thank you. Catherine took a breath. I'll pay you for it. Whatever you want. $5,000. 10. Please, I need it back. I thought about saying no. About how I'd bought it fair and square. About how this was business. But instead I heard myself say, why do you need it so badly? Catherine's face crumpled. Because I think there's something in it. Something I don't want anyone else to see. You mean the letters, I said quietly. She went pale. You found them. It wasn't a question. It was a statement of defeat. I nodded. Catherine sat down heavily on a velvet settee, put her face in her hands. I've known since I was 16, she said. I found one of his letters, hidden in her Bible of all places. I read it and realized my mother was having an affair with my father's best friend, his business partner, a man I called Uncle James. She looked up at me. Her eyes were red. I burned that letter, and every other one I found over the years. I went through her things after she died, searched everywhere, but I never found the ring. I thought I'd destroyed all the evidence. Until you bought it, I said. Until I bought it. Catherine stood up and walked to the window. Looked out at King Street. My father was a good man, a respected man. He died believing his marriage was perfect. He deserved to keep believing that. Did he, though, I said. Or did he deserve the truth? Catherine turned to look at me. What good would the truth do? Now he's dead. James is dead. My mother is dead. The only thing left is their legacy. And I'll be damned if I let some secret affair destroy what they built. I understood her anger. I did. But I also understood something else. You're not protecting them, I said gently. You're protecting yourself. Catherine's face went hard. And what's wrong with that? Nothing. Except it's exhausting, isn't it, carrying their secrets? Making sure nobody knows. Spending your whole life guarding a lie. She didn't answer, but her shoulders sagged. How much do you want for the ring? She asked again. I thought about it. About the ring sitting upstairs in its velvet box. About letters that had survived 70 years hidden in platinum and lies. About David. About midnight texts and secret meetings. About a life I was building in the shadows. I don't want money, I said. Catherine looked surprised. Then what do you want? I want you to read the letters. Really read them. What? Your mother loved James. Really loved him. For 43 years. That's not nothing. That's a whole life lived in secret. Don't you want to understand her? I already understand her, Catherine said bitterly. She was a liar. A cheat. She stood in church every Sunday and smiled at Helen Mitchell, knowing she was sleeping with Helen's husband. Maybe, I said. Or maybe she was a woman who made impossible choices in an impossible situation. Maybe she and James really did love each other. And maybe that love, as wrong as it was the realest thing in her life. Catherine shook her head. You sound like you're defending her. I'm not defending anyone. I'm just saying people are complicated. And sometimes the stories we tell about them after they're gone say more about us than about them. I walked to the stairs, motioned for Catherine to follow me. In my office, I opened the velvet box, took out the letters. Read them, I said. All of them. And then decide if you want to destroy them. Catherine stared at the letters like they might burn her. Why are you doing this? She asked. Because I found something in those letters I wasn't expecting to find, I said. And I think you might too. Catherine didn't move. Take them, I said. Keep the ring. No charge. Read the letters. And when you're done, come back and tell me what you decide. I can't, she whispered. Yes, you can. You've spent your whole life protecting a secret that isn't even yours. Maybe it's time to let it go. Catherine reached out slowly and took the box from my hands. Thank you, she said. Her voice broke. I don't know why you're being kind to me, but thank you. After she left, I sat in my office for a long time. The space where the ring had been seemed bigger than it should. My phone buzzed. David. Again. Please talk to me. What's wrong? I picked up the phone. This time I typed a response. We need to talk. Can you come by tonight? He responded immediately. Of course. I'll be there at 8. I spent the rest of the day cleaning. Not the shop. My apartment. Like if I scrubbed hard enough, I could clean away the feeling that had been growing in my chest since yesterday. The feeling that I was living someone else's story. A story I'd already read the ending to. David arrived at 8 exactly. He looked good like always. Expensive jacket. Perfect hair. The smile that had hooked me 6 months ago. He tried to kiss me. I stepped back. What's wrong? He asked. You've been distant all weekend. I need to ask you something, I said. And I need you to tell me the truth. Okay. Are you ever going to leave your wife? The smile faltered. Miranda, we've talked about this. No. We've talked around it. You've told me you will, that it's complicated, that you need time. But I'm asking you now directly. Are you actually going to leave her? David sat down on my couch. ran his hands through his hair. "It's not that simple," he said. "Yes or no." He looked at me, and in his eyes I saw the truth. I'd probably seen it all along. I just hadn't wanted to look. "No," he said finally. "Probably not." The words should have hurt more than they did, but I'd been preparing for them since I read that first letter. I sat down across from him. Not next to him. Across. Why, I asked. He spread his hands. "My kids. My practice. Amanda's family is connected to half the clients I have. A divorce would be messy, expensive, destructive. So you'd rather lie to her. And to me, I'm not lying to you. You knew I was married when we started this. You told me you were leaving her. I said I wanted to. That's different." I laughed. It came out bitter. "You know what the saddest part is? I believed you. I actually believed that I was special, that you loved me enough to choose me." "I do love you," David said. He reached for my hand. I didn't let him take it. "But you love your life more." "That's not fair." "It's completely fair. You want me when it's convenient, when it doesn't cost you anything. But the moment it gets complicated, the moment you have to actually choose your wife, your reputation, your comfortable life." David stood up. His voice went cold. "I thought you understood what this was. I thought I did too. But I was wrong. This isn't love. It's just two people using each other to feel less lonely. If that's how you feel, maybe we should end this. Maybe we should." We stood there looking at each other. 6 months of late nights and whispered promises hanging in the air between us. "I'm sorry," he said finally. His voice was softer now. "I never meant to hurt you." "I know," I said. "That's the worst part. You really didn't." He left without another word. The door closed behind him with a soft click. I sat in the dark apartment and waited to feel devastated. Instead, I felt lighter, like I'd been holding my breath for 6 months and finally exhaled. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur. I threw myself into work, bought an entire estate's worth of furniture from Beaufort, sold a 1920s sideboard for twice what I'd expected. Charlotte came home for Thanksgiving, brought Ryan like she'd promised. He was exactly what she'd described: honest, kind, looked at my daughter like she was the most amazing thing he'd ever seen. Over pumpkin pie, Charlotte told me they were thinking about moving in together after graduation. "Nothing too serious yet," she said. "But we want to see if this is real." Ryan took her hand. "I think it's real," he said. "But we want to do it right. No secrets, no games." I felt tears prick my eyes. "That's smart, baby. That's very smart." After they left, I sat on my porch with a glass of bourbon and watched the sun set over the harbor. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Miranda. It was Catherine Whitmore. "Catherine." "Hi." I read them. The letters. All of them. And she was quiet for a moment. "And I think I finally understand my mother." "Tell me." "She wasn't happy. Not in her marriage. She loved my father, but she wasn't in love with him. James was her escape, her secret joy, the thing that made her life bearable." Catherine's voice cracked. "I always thought she was weak, that she should have just divorced my father and married James if she loved him so much. But she was trapped. By the time she lived in, by expectations, by fear of what people would say." "So what did you decide?" I asked. "About the letters. I'm keeping them. Not to hide them, to remember them. I'm writing down her whole story. For my kids, so they know their grandmother was complicated and human, and made choices that weren't perfect." I smiled. "I think that's beautiful. Thank you. For making me read them. For seeing what I couldn't see." "You're welcome." Catherine paused. "Can I ask you something? Why did you care? You didn't know my mother. You bought a ring at an estate sale. You could have just sold it and moved on." "I bought a ring at an estate sale," I said. "But I found a mirror, and it showed me something I needed to see." After we hung up, I sat there thinking about mirrors, about stories we tell ourselves, about the difference between love that requires hiding and love that can exist in daylight. A month after Thanksgiving, I hired a contractor to renovate my apartment. The place needed work. New kitchen, updated bathroom, fresh paint. The contractor's name was Jack Reynolds. 50. Divorced. Kind eyes. He showed up every morning at 8 with coffee and a smile. We talked while he worked. About nothing important at first. The weather. Charleston traffic. How the city had changed. Then about more important things. His failed marriage. My 2 divorces. What we'd learned. What we wanted now. One day in January, he finished installing my new kitchen cabinets and stepped back to admire his work. Looks good, he said. It really does. You do beautiful work. He looked at me. Thank you for trusting me with it. Something in his voice made me look closer. He wasn't just talking about cabinets. Can I take you to dinner sometime, he asked. Nothing fancy. Just dinner. Maybe a conversation that doesn't involve renovation plans. I thought about saying no. About how I wasn't ready. About how I needed time. Then I thought about Elizabeth and James. About 43 years of beautiful letters and stolen moments that added up to a lifetime of loneliness. I'd rather have one honest conversation in daylight than 100 secret ones in the dark. I'd like that, I said. Jack smiled. It was genuine, uncomplicated. A smile that didn't have to hide anything. Saturday, he suggested. 7. Saturday at 7. He left whistling. I stood in my new kitchen and laughed. Who knew a $200 ring would turn out to be the best investment I'd ever made? Not because of what it was worth, but because of what it taught me. Some stories end in tragedy. 2 people in love who could never be together. Lives lived in shadows. Secrets carried to the grave. But some stories end in truth. And if you're lucky, if you're brave, truth is where the real story begins. I keep the locket Catherine gave me on my dresser now. She insisted I take it when she returned for the letters. It's beautiful. Victorian gold. Empty inside. Sometimes I open it and think about Elizabeth and James. About Catherine finding the courage to tell their real story. About the difference between protecting a lie and honoring a truth. The locket is empty because the story isn't finished yet. My story. The one I get to write in daylight without hiding, without shame. Jack and I have been seeing each other for 2 months now. It's not fireworks. It's not breathless midnight texts and secret meetings. It's better. It's Sunday morning coffee on the porch. Dinner at restaurants where we don't have to worry about who might see us. Conversations that don't end with him checking his phone and saying he has to go. It's real. My daughter called last week. She and Ryan are moving in together in June. She sounded happy. Excited. Sure. I'm proud of you, I told her. For knowing what you want. For not settling. I learned from the best mama. After we hung up, I sat with that for a while. The idea that maybe despite my mistakes, despite the years I'd spent making myself smaller, I'd taught her something worthwhile. To expect more. To demand more. To build a life in daylight instead of shadows. You know what I've learned from 15 years of buying things at estate sales? Every object has a story. Most of them are simple. A woman bought a lamp. She liked it. It sat on her table for 40 years. The end. But some objects carry weight. They hold secrets. They remember things. That ring remembered a love story. Not a perfect one. Not even maybe a good one. But a real one. A complicated human story of desire and duty, passion and guilt, choice and consequence. And it reminded me that I get to choose my own story. I get to decide if I want to spend my life in hiding, waiting for moments stolen from someone else's marriage. Or if I want to build something real. Something honest. Something that exists in daylight. I choose daylight. I choose truth. I choose the kind of love that doesn't require a secret compartment. The shop is doing well. Better than ever, actually. I sold that Victorian side table I bought the same day as the ring. Tripled my money. Found a buyer for a complete set of Hepplewhite chairs. Business is good. But that's not what keeps me going these days. What keeps me going is knowing that I'm building something authentic. In my business. In my relationships. In my life. No more secrets. No more hiding. No more making myself smaller to fit into someone else's story. I'm writing my own story now. And it's a good one. Messy sometimes. Complicated. But honest. And honey, let me tell you something. Honest is beautiful. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Because the truth will set you free. That's what they say, right? And you know what they're right. That $200 ring set me free. Not because it was valuable, though it was. Not because it had an interesting story, though it did. but because it showed me exactly what I didn't want my life to become. A beautiful secret, hidden away, never seen in daylight. Worth everything and nothing all at once. I want my life to be seen, to be known, to be real, and now it is. So here's to estate sales and hidden letters and rings with secret compartments. Here's to complicated mothers and brave daughters and stories that deserve to be told. Here's to truth even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, because that's when it matters most.